gentlemen. Welcome to Halftime 360. Yet again, my name is Emmanuel, and this is
Melvin.
and today once again we're diving into some exciting news about what took place in the EPL during the past weekend. Yeah, with the games that took place once again. So let's get right into it. Melvin, for starters, we're going to be looking into the match between Chelsea and Fulham. So yeah, it looks like well a controversial a series of controversial VAR decisions helped Chelsea overcome Fulham. A Joao Pedro header and an Enzo Fernandez penalty helped Chelsea get the better of their West London neighbours Fulham in a match dominated by interventions from the video assistant referee on Saturday. Josh King thought he had given the visitors the lead in the first half before VAR then confirmed the goal to be overturned due to a foul on Trevor Chalobah by Rodrigo Muniz in the build-up. Fulham's joy at taking the lead was transformed into a bitter sense of injustice for what remained of the derby following the lengthy pitchside review by referee Robert Jones. Pedro then continued his good start to life at Chelsea with a goal on the stroke of halftime, but there was further reason for Fulham's agitation in the second half. A twofold VAR call that first exonerated Pedro of a foul, then penalised Ryan Sessegnon. Sorry, his name is a bit hard to pronounce. Yeah, Sessegnon for a handball, allowing Fernandez to then double the lead from the penalty spot. The best early chances, although, had gone to Fulham, with Joachim Anderson and Alex Iwobi each firing wide. While Chelsea themselves went close when Liam Delap's shot was well blocked by Anderson. With a little more than 20 minutes to play, though, Maresca turned his attention to his bench for the second time as he introduced Jamie Gittins for Esteval Willian. It was a switch that saw Pedro Neto move out to the right flank and Alsama arrival play off of the left. Further alterations were made as the minutes ticked down. Reece James replaced Pedro Neto and Andre Santos was introduced for George. While Fulham then went on to probe the Chelsea backline in search for a response, yet it was the Blues who appeared more likely to add to the score. Well, Joao Pedro forced Leno into an excellent stop at very late during the game on as he powered a volley toward goal. James then worked the German stopper with an attempt from distance. So it looks like 7 points from Chelsea's opening three matches of the campaign and the first victory in front of the Blues faithful. It's certainly a major boost for the club and potentially becoming worthy title contenders this season. So, Melvin, what's your overall take on this game?
Well, I thought it was a good game, but it was particularly hard for Chelsea in the beginning, especially in the first half, because they had a hard time trying to create really good chances. Fulham did very well to keep them at bay. So, seeing that, it looked like it might actually be a long day for Chelsea because they were second to everything, winning 50-50 balls, air balls, duels. It looked like they were not up for it when I was watching the game. So I was thinking, this is a Fulham side that is not bad at all. And if you don't bring your A game, you most likely lose. So I was looking for some sort of response from them. I was hoping the coach will have some words with the boys at halftime, and then we'd see some improvement in the second half. But Joao Pedro was able to score before the whistle. Unfortunately, Fulham's goal, unfortunate for the Fulham fan, was disallowed. The young man's goal. For the foul on Trevor Chalobah, there's been a lot of debate on it, based on how it happened. Some people were saying, I heard various parties discussing how much it looked like an accident and how we shouldn't have to penalize the team because it was all in a natural movement and it didn't look intentional. But at the end of the day, A foul is a foul, and it could have been dangerous even if it wasn't intentional. So unfortunately, it stopped um, them from scoring a goal. So I
Right.
understand that. But aside that, I I I I I can understand, people complaining about the referee's decisions in that particular game, especially. I think we're fine with the time he added on, but as the ball went out again, the time added was already up. So I, for one, was not expecting another corner. I'm talking about the corner that led directly to Joao Pedro's goal. So I was surprised. So I'm sure,
Uh,
some people can talk about, yeah, the referee was not necessarily good, um, based on disallowing Fulham's goal, allowing Chelsea to carry on play, which led directly to Chelsea's first goal. And people would, but I must point out the fact that Chelsea played much, much, much better in the second half. They started winning tackles, they started winning second balls, air balls, duels. They looked like the Chelsea we saw against West Ham. It looked like the Chelsea that won the Club World Cup. So that was very good from Maresca and his boys. And so back to the yes, the second half. So I'm sure many Fulham fans as well would like to complain about, um, what led to the penalty that was awarded to Chelsea, the extended VAR review, how there was a Fulham defender who was being reviewed for having his hands high in an unnatural position, and the ball touching Joao Pedro's hands as well, but that one was deemed to be in a more natural position and all that. So it looked a bit weird, and I don't know what to use the words ma and say mark the game or something, but the referee was a talking point more than it should have been in the game. But aside that, I do feel like Chelsea's performance in the second half was enough to get them a win. So it is very much likely the right result, and they need to start games better. They need to make it a habit of, you know, starting games very, very, very well. Yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah. Well, Fulham did continue to carry a threat as the half progressed, and Muniz forced Sanchez into a fine reaction save. Although the assistant referee belatedly raised his flag to signal that the striker was offside. Yeah, and it was in the final 5 minutes of the half, plus the 9 that were added, that saw the Blues click into gear. Pedro Neto, yeah, did earn a corner that Tosin headed onto the roof of the net before another set piece resulted in George being denied from close range by Bernd Leno. Yeah. Well, with that last corner, it proved to be pivotal. Fernandez delivered the ball toward the far post, and then Joao Pedro rose highest to net his fifth goal in 6 games for the Blues. Yeah. So, well, with that said and done, we'll then move on to the next series of games. So, we'll move on to the game between Manchester United and Burnley. So it looks like a stoppage time penalty from Bruno Fernandes secured Manchester United and head coach Bruno Amorim their first win of the Premier League season as they beat Burnley 3-2 at Old Trafford. Fernandes, who missed from the spot last week at Fulham, converted in the 7th minute of additional time to secure a much-needed 3 points for Amorim's side after their shock EFL Cup exit to league side Grimsby Town on penalties in the midweek. Despite going behind twice through a Josh Cullen own goal and Brian Mbeumo, Burnley responded brilliantly at first through Lyle Foster and then Jadon Anthony, and they looked to and earn a point from the game. But then substitute Benjamin Sesko had gone close to a winner for Manchester United. But it was then Fernandes who took full advantage when Ahmad was tugged back in the box by Anthony. United looked the better side early on and won a penalty when Kyle Walker was penalized for a foul on Mason Mount. But then the decision was overturned as the challenge was deemed fair following a VAR review. They then eventually took a deserved lead in the 27th minute when Casemiro headed Fernandez's free kick off of the crossbar, with the unknown Cullen deflecting the rebound past Martin Dubravka after Rodrigo Muniz's own goal at Fulham. It made Manchester United the first team whose first two goals in the season have come through opposition players. Burnley then equalized 10 minutes into the second half after Foster turned home Jacob Brun Larsson's cross. United then regained the lead just 93 seconds later as Diogo Dalot's low delivery was smashed in by Mbuemo. The first goal scored by a Manchester United player this season. Yeah, that is to say. But then, however, the Clarets leveled again in the 66th minute when Anthony reacted quickest to Alte Bayender's parry in the box from a corner, with his shot deflecting in and off Kobe Mainu. Yeah, Sesko went well. He acted twice, yeah, double times close with headers after coming off of the bench before Anthony pulled Ahmad's shirt as he was entering the box, and with the penalty given after a close and considerate VAR review, Fernandez placed the ball into the bottom left corner to snatch the win. The win moves United up to ninth, heading into the international break, while Scott Parker's Burnley fall into 12th place in the table with their second defeat of the season. So, what's also your take on this game?
Well. It was a very nice game to see. I was interested to see how Manchester United's players would, bounce back or show up after what Amorim had to say about them in their last game against Grimsby. Given they lost that match and their performance was woeful for most of the game. And I remember him speaking about their attitude and commitment to play in the style that he wants to implement. He said that their performance showed clearly that, they were not ready. His words were something along the lines of, they showed me how they want to play. So what I got from that was that I thought he felt that the players were not, were not getting into his system as quickly as he wanted it to, and so maybe he felt like, in a sense, they did not want to play for him because he's been there for some time now. This is not his first season. I mean, this is his first full season, but he was there for, the second half of the season last year. So I was expecting by now, with a couple of interesting signings, him keeping the players he wants to, retain in his system. I thought by now we should have been seeing glimpses of, consistency from them. Given they started well, even though they lost their first game to Arsenal, I mean, they played significantly better than we had seen them in several months. They were really combative in that game. They tried to win tackles, they tried to counter-attack, they were there for duels, headers. So it was I can understand Amorim being extremely, surprised at his team's performance against Grimsby. And so moving on to their game in the Premier League, I'm sure most people wanted to see, how the players would react. And so I feel like it was not the best. They eventually got it over the line, but they still have a long way to go in terms of, commitment. Because I do not feel that the Manchester United problem is a tactical problem.
Right.
I feel they have, the personnel to implement the system that Amorim wants. I mean, at least this season. So I feel like it's a mental issue. I feel like they need to lock in, they need to believe in themselves, because the difference in quality between Premier League sides is not that significant, So if you don't go into matches thinking, trying that you can win all these 50-50 balls, you probably lose
Mhm.
against anybody because they want to win as well. And if you have more technical players who are not willing to put in the shift to try and track back and stuff. And so I'm not even surprised that Mbuemo is the guy who scores their first official goal this season in the league, because he's a player who's known for his exceptional work rate, his hard work. He will track back, he will tackle when he has to, he will run when he has to. He obviously can deliver when he's in front of goal as well. So I feel like um these mental qualities of Mbuemo needs to rub off more on his teammates. I mean, Bruno Fernandes does this well, but we need to see this from other players like Mason Mount, Sesko, his defenders, his wing backs. They need to put in a shift. They need to go to every game and try to prove to themselves and to the fans that they can compete, because it looks like they're not trying to compete. It looks like they just want to play football. But football is a competitive sport. You need to fight for the ball each second that you have it. And for every other second that you are not having it, you have to try to win it back. So I feel like that is the issue with Manchester United right now. It's something that we need to see them do more consistently. If they're able to do this, they should be able to, do well this season. It's not too late for them. They finally got a win. They should build on it, work on how they defend, run together as a team. I feel like it's more of a hard work problem rather than a tactical thing. They have a good manager. They just need to believe in him and work hard for each other and for their manager as well, and they should be fine. Aside that, it was a good game. I mean, because of their lack of consistency, they had to win it in the final minutes via penalty and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
because
and, and
I'm sorry.
exactly, and it also shows what happens if you are not committed 100% in the league. You can be caught by surprise. Anyone can beat you. They almost lost that game. They almost drew it. So I feel like they need to work harder, and they should be fine this season.
Right. Yeah. Well, with United trying to push hard for a winner in the closing stages, well, Xerxes fired a shot over the crossbar, and then Sesko headed off the target from two separate crosses. However, in the first minute of stoppage time, Ahmad's shirt was tugged by Anthony as he looked to advance in the penalty area, and after initially pointing for a goal kick, referee Barat was sent to the pitch side monitor again to look into a VAR review, and then eventually awarded a penalty, which United were then able to convert into a goal. Yeah, and yeah, definitely United do have a top quality side that are that potentially, I mean, that you could even say potential title contenders, or they could even compete for top four. Yeah, if they were to really put in the work and the effort.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, to show that they're the United side we've always known them to be. Yeah. Okay. So moving on away from that, we then focus on the game between Sunderland and Brentford. So Wilson Isidore played the role of a super sub as his header in the 6th minute of second half stoppage time saw Sunderland come from behind to beat Brentford 2-1. The spoils appear to be shared after Enzo Levy's 82nd minute penalty had cancelled Igor Thiago's opener. But then Isidore's, well, his effort popped up with a late winner at the Stadium of Light. Dango Altara had seen his effort ruled out for offside in the first half, but then Brentford took the lead through Igor Thiago, having seen Kevin Skade's earlier penalty saved by Robin Rove. However, two goals in 14 minutes from Lefay and Isidore turned the contest on its head as Regis Lebris' side held on to make it two wins from two on home soil. The result saw that Sunderland would be able to move up to sixth place in the Premier League after 3 games of their season, while Brentford dropped down to 13th. Unfortunately for them, Brentford had the ball in the net after 21 minutes. Altara raced onto a through ball and neatly slotted home from a tight angle, but his second goal in as many weeks was ruled out for offside after a VAR review. The Bees were then presented with another golden opportunity to strike first in the 57th minute, with Reinaldo Mandava penalised for hauling down Nathan Collins. However, Roofs guessed correctly to deny Skade from 12 yards. Nevertheless, they broke through 13 minutes from time when Thiago peeled away at the far post to head home Frank Onyeka's inviting centre. The lead lasted just 5 minutes, though, with Anthony Taylor pointing to the spot once more after Habib Diarra was fouled by Rico Henry and Life calmly slotted home. But there was still time for one more dramatic twist in the 6th minute of stoppage time. Isidore powered home from Granit Xhaka's out-swinging cross to snatch victory and send the home fans into delirium. The Late Late Show sees Sunderland snatch all 3 points. Well, Sunderland's Premier League return got off to an ideal start with their 3-0 victory, definitely over West Ham in the first match of the week. In match week 1, yeah, the first match of the first Premier League week. However, the Black Cats have endured a slight reality check since losing 2-0 at fellow promoted Burnley last Saturday before being beaten by Huddersfield Town on penalties in the EFL Cup. Nevertheless, though, Lebreeze's team looked bright and early on as they tried to assert their authority on proceedings, but were given a scare when Altara got in and got in from behind and tucked home, with the offside then coming to their rescue. Roves then produced heroics between the sticks to thwart Skade's penalty, but he was powerless to deny Igor Thiago's header in the 77th minute. Sutherland had failed to convert each of their last they had failed to convert each of their last 4 spots in the league, but then Lefay stopped the rot in coolest of fashions. Yeah, in the coolest of fashions. But the hosts at that point in time were not done there, with super sub Isidore arriving to head home a dramatic winner, sending them into the international break, having opened a Premier League season with successive home victories for the first time since 2001. Well, with this, Sunderland will be hoping to build on to win when they travel to Selhurst Park to face Crystal Palace on September the 13th. So, what's also your take on this game between Sunderland and Brentford?
It was a brilliant game, as I've come to expect from
Right.
Sunderland. I've enjoyed seeing them back in the Premier League. They are fighting for every single chance. They fight for every single shot they can get on target. They brought a sort of championship style of football back into the Premier League, and so far they're doing it quite well. I see them not, giving up sequence after sequence. They try to get crosses in. They try to be very direct. Try to be, very dangerous because like I always say, I feel like if you are building a team, you need to build a team according to the strengths of, your best players or the the collective groove that you have. And they are not the type of team that has the quality to break down, their opponents with short, intricate, quick passing
Mhm.
and player movement. They don't have those sorts of players in their squad, and they don't have the finances to purchase those players. Not at this time,
Right.
at least. So they have to play in a way that fits the kind of players they have currently, and it's working well. They have a couple of tall attackers, so they put in floated crosses. They can hit the ball. They don't give up, and I feel like if they can keep playing this way, they should be one of the teams that will, stay in the league and beat the relegation battle. I feel
Right.
like they need to keep it up. Maybe in January they might need to sign one or two players to keep the momentum going. But so far they've been fantastic. They've been brilliant. I love how they played. They look like setbacks don't face them when they're on their pitch. I feel like if you should put this collective mentality that the Sunderland, boys play with into Manchester United squad, they'll probably be doing much better than they are currently. It's something that Manchester United is, lacking. They never say die spirit in
Yeah.
matches, fighting for each. Football is not necessarily what is, conventional in the league these days. Everybody is heavily focused on trying to keep, you know, some sort of possession of the ball, and so it is almost refreshing to see a team that does, the exact opposite and is still able to get results. So I'm interested in seeing how they continue. I like how they did not give up and were able to get a penalty in the dying moments of the game. It showed that there's a high, sense of, work rate and belief in that squad, and that's what we like to see in the league. That everyone should believe in themselves that they can compete, and that's what makes it one of the best leagues in the world. So it was a really, really, really good game to watch. If you were able to see it, it was fantastic. I think this season I should not like to miss any game that Sunderland is involved in.
Absolutely, yeah. Upon being newly promoted sides, yeah, they're already off to a flying start and
Mm-hmm.
proven that hey, they deserve to be promoted and to stay for a considerably long period of time. Upon having disappeared from the Premier League for 8 years, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so in a thrilling finale of that game, Brentford took the lead in the 77th minute when Frank Onyenka whipped a cross in for Thiago, and his header bounced in off of the underside of the crossbar. Sunderland were then awarded a penalty some moments later when Rico Henry fouled Diarra on the box from a corner, and Levis, he coolly slotted his spot kick past Keleha to level. There was then further drama as Isidore found the late winner in the 6th minute of added time, heading underneath Keleha from Granit Xhaka's excellent cross to snatch a late winner for them this season. Okay, so with that said and done, we will then turn our attention to the next game in the series, and we'll be focusing on the game between Tottenham and Bournemouth. So it looks like Tottenham Hotspur's perfect start to the 2025-2026 Premier League season campaign came to an end as they slipped to a 1-0 home defeat to AFC Bournemouth. Evan Evan Nelson stunned the host in the 5th minute when his strike took a fortuitous deflection and looped in the first the first time Spurs have ever conceded what looks like their first goal in the Thomas Frank era. And despite trailing for the vast majority of Saturday's encounter, Spurs could not find a way to truly test a resilient Bournemouth defense until Destiny Udogie headed wide up on the cusp of full time. Yeah, and despite trailing for the vast majority of throughout the game, Bournemouth were unfortunate not to be able to add to their lead, with Antoine Semenyo and Evan Nelson squandering good chances and David Brooks hitting the crossbar. Well, following an open day defeat to Liverpool, Anthony Iraola's side now have registered consecutive Premier League wins, and then joining Spurs on 6 points from their opening 3 matches. The Cherries silenced the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Evan Nelson took on a shot from a tight angle with a wicked deflection, leaving Guglielmo Vicario helpless. Spurs were visibly flustered with Bournemouth's lightning start, and as they struggled to test George Petrovic in the visitors' goal, Evan Nelson and Semenyo both saw decent opportunities to extend the Cherries' advantage passed them by, unfortunately. Bournemouth almost struck again early in the second half, with Vicario denying Semenyo before the Italian shot stopper smothered an effort from Evan Nelson, with Brooks' follow-up clattering the woodwork. As Spurs committed more players forward, Bournemouth continued to pose the greater danger with Marcus Tavernier sending a shot into the side netting. Spurs are probing uh, for a responsive goal to equalize finally resulted in a clear chance deep in stoppage time, but Udugie could not direct his header right towards goal. So, what's also your take on this game?
Well, I thought it would be a very interesting game to see before I saw it. I know Thomas Frank to be someone who is highly adaptive. Sometimes he can be very pragmatic as well. I wanted to see how he'd set up the Spurs team against Bournemouth, who have shown to be extremely resilient in the league in recent times. So I would not say I'm surprised by the outcome of the game. I may be slightly surprised at how effective Bournemouth was at keeping Tottenham at bay, because Tottenham were lost. They did not create any significant, chances on goal that I could have said this should probably or could have ended up in a goal on another day. So, I mean, based on the performance of the Bournemouth team, I feel like they clearly deserve this 1-0 victory. They defended as a unit better, sacrificing possession to defend their box extremely well. They were extremely hardworking, very, very hardworking. Their counter-attacks were sharp and precise. Antoine Semenyo, for one, even though he was not on the score sheet, was an exceptional player, a highlight of the match that day. He showed his ability to work for his teammates on the left-hand side of the pitch. Sometimes you could even see him covering so much ground that you find him on the right side of the pitch. He was everywhere. They performed exceptionally well. Tottenham, I don't remember them having more than one good chance created in that game. So it looked like Bournemouth really, really, really nullified them, extremely well. So I feel like Bournemouth deserved this victory. They had about 20 shots on target. I mean, if you don't shoot, you don't score. Tottenham had less than 10. I don't even think they got 7. So it showed that clearly Bournemouth was the team that should have won the game, and that's exactly how it unfolded. They deserved it. They played really well. They defended as a unit. They attacked sharply, and I'm impressed they were able to score an early goal, and then they kept the scoreline exactly that way till the final whistle. They deserved it. It looks like they will have a similar or better season, just like they did last year. They'll have a similar season or a better one. They look good. I mean, sometimes the start in the Premier League can be, shaky. But I feel like this Bournemouth team can reciprocate how they finished the last season. They might even get into Europe. So it was a fun match to see as well. Even though there were not many goals, it was interesting to see the two tactical battles.
Yeah, absolutely. Semenyo's dismissal would have provided an unlikely reprieve for the hosts, who only really threatened to salvage anything from the game in the second half on added time. But then Tell's well-struck effort from Jed Spence's cross flew just wide as Tottenham Hotspurs missed the chance to climb to the top of the table before the weekend's remaining fixtures. Okay, so moving on away from that, we'll then turn our attention to the game between Everton and Wolverhampton Wanderers. So the visitors took on an early lead when Grealish nodded Vitaly Mykolenko's his name is a bit hard to pronounce. Mykolenko's floated ball across to Beto, who applied a simple-headed finish. Everton secured back-to-back Premier League wins with an entertaining 3-2 triumph over struggling Wolverhampton Wanderers, with Jack Grealish again playing a starring role, having registered 2 assists against Brighton and Hove Albion in Everton's first competitive game at Hill Dickinson Stadium last week. Grealish provided another 2 at Molyneux, the Molinox Stadium. Jack Grealish teed up Beto for the opener after just 7 minutes, and though Juan He-Chan got Wolves level, Everton went into halftime 2-1 up thanks to Iliman Ndiaye's close range finish. Jack Grealish, who was on loan from Manchester City, then teed up with Kieran Dewsbury Hall for a thunderous strike 10 minutes into the second half. Substitute Rodrigo Gomez got one back for Wolves, but he later missed a goal to level the ties in stoppage time. Wolves are yet to earn a point in the Premier League this season, while Everton sit fifth in the table, yeah, with 6 points from 3 matches they've played so far. So, what's also your take on this game?
Well, it was a brilliant game. Everton looked like that, beginning to settle into the league slowly but surely. Wolves look defensively, they look woeful. I don't know what their issue is this season, but they need to work on it and they need to do it fast because it's not looking good. The way they defend as a unit is extremely poor. It's sort of lethargic. They are porous. There's too much space in between them. They are not working hard enough. They need to communicate more on the pitch. I feel like this is not the sort of match they should be losing, even though Everton clearly performed better than them. You should at least try to win your home games against similar opponents, especially if you are not one of the teams that are challenging for Europe or the Premier League title. You should be beating all your peers who are probably going to fight for low to mid-table positions. They should be winning this at home. They are not, because this season they've started extremely poorly. But on the other hand, Everton's Ndiaye has been on form this season. He started the Premier League really well, scoring, I think, in their last Premier League game, scoring this one as well. Beto has always been a reliable striker. He was very reliable when he was at Udinese. He was their leading man for a couple of years before he made the move to the Premier League. And it looks like Grealish is back to his very best. It looks like he's free from Pep's, shackles, because I feel like a lot of people complain about Pep's wingers being sort of one-dimensional, playing in a fixed system. You don't see them trying too many creative things. Yes, they'll get goals, yes, they'll get assists, but it looks like they have to do it in a particular way, and it's always the same way. It's like their football sometimes can be very, robotic. So it's nice to see him playing with a smile on his face, to see him, being confident, creative, free on the pitch. So I'm not surprised he's getting, assists here and there and helping his team. It's nice to see all of that. So I think credit to David Moyes and his boys. It looks like Everton might be back on track if they should be able to get their defense to be a bit more solid and to attack as well as they did in this game. They should be safe this season, and they should probably be able to build on this in subsequent seasons and see if they can get into more respectable positions in the league. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wolves made it a nervy finale with Rodrigo Gomez coming off the bench to pull a goal back, and the same player came close to equalizing in stoppage time, but it was not to be for Vitor Pereira's side, who have now lost three out of the 3 matches they've played in the Premier League so far. Yeah, rather unfortunate for them. Yeah, okay. So with that said and done, we'll then touch on the game between Leeds United and Newcastle United. So Leeds United showed off their defensive resolve at Elland Road again, as they made it 2 clean sheets from 2 home matches this season, holding Newcastle United to a draw. Leeds became the first promoted side to keep a clean sheet in both of their opening 2 home matches of a Premier League season since Huddersfield Town in the 2017-2018 season. Newcastle remain winless in the league as it stands right now. The Magpies' new club record signing Nick Waltamedi. Yeah, Waltamedi was in the stands after completing his move from Bundesliga side Stuttgart earlier on this Saturday. But Alexander Isak was still absent amid speculation linking him with Liverpool. And it looks like Liverpool and Newcastle, in regards to Alexander Isak, have been able to reach an agreement in order for the player to be transferred to the Reds. But getting away from that, it looks like during the game, Anthony Gordon, having started after a three-match suspension, made sure Eddie Howe's side lacked attacking thrust. Jacob Murphy then worked twice with Lucas Perry in the Leeds goal, but then Newcastle United struggled to create clear-cut chances, while the hosts did not have a shot on target until Nick Pope denied Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the 90th minute. This puts Newcastle on the 15th position in the formative table with 2 points, and also two behind Leeds, who are now positioned 10th as it stands. So what's also your take on this game?
Well, I thought draw was probably the most likely outcome. Not because Newcastle were not good enough during the game, but I felt like they'd lack attacking power that like they have the beginning of this season because of the absence of Alexander Isak. Gordon is not a number 9. It has shown in all the matches they've played. He's lacked that instinct to score goals. He might sometimes be at the right place, not necessarily at the right time. Sometimes the decision making is not there. He's a fantastic player, an extremely good winger, but he's not a striker. And it showed in this game as well that they were needing somebody, to lead the line, somebody to complete the link between the midfield and the attack, like how Isak is able to drop deep as well as lead the line, drive wide, dribble, take shots and stuff. And so I felt like if this Newcastle teams plays just like they have in recent games, it'll probably end up being a draw because they'll probably be able to create the same or similar chances, and Gordon is still the same player who is not a striker, and he'll probably not be there to get the tap-ins or not be able to score the goals. So I'm not surprised. I feel like if they were able to get themselves a better striker, which they now have in the 6-6, I believe, striker they just purchased from Stuttgart, who looks like he could be the perfect replacement to Isak. I think we should see some sort of resurgence in Newcastle's attacking in their next couple of games. Aside that, it looked to be a dull match, because I didn't expect Leeds to be able to put up much of a fight attack wise, and Newcastle were sort of on the low because they don't have a striker these days. So it was sort of boring, but I feel like they have one now. Isak moves to Liverpool, and then they've got their new guy Nick from Stuttgart. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform.
Right. Yeah. Well, unfortunately for Newcastle at the moment, they remain winless in the league this season, and given that their talisman, who hasn't made an appearance in any games for them so far, Alexander he actually did appear in the game against Liverpool, but it looks like he's now it's official that he's moving on to Liverpool this season. Yeah, and unfortunately for Newcastle at the moment, they still remain winless. Yeah, but so getting away from that, we'll then turn our attention to the game between Manchester City and Brighton Hove Albion. So Unfortunately, again for Manchester City, they suffered a very shocking and unfortunate defeat to Brighton this past weekend. Yeah, no one expected such a shocking defeat, especially to a side like Brighton and Hove Albion, who came from a goal behind to defeat Manchester City 2 goals to 1, thanks to a superbly taken 89th minute winner from Brahan Gruda. Gruda was one of four substitutes introduced on the hour mark by Fabian Hosella at the Amex Stadium, where Erling Haaland had put City ahead with his 88th Premier League goal on his 100th appearance in the competition. However, Gruda's fellow substitute James Milner restored parity against his old club when he slotted in from the penalty spot in the 67th minute, following Matheus Nunes' handball. Well, James Trafford made a fantastic save to deny John Paul Van Heck as City aimed to withstand a late onslaught, but the pressure told when Kawaru Mitoma played in Gruda, who he coolly dispatched the effort, while 10th place Brighton can celebrate their first win of the 2025-2026 Premier League season. It is now two back-to-back defeats for Manchester City, who are a point back in 12th place. But after the season, after they were able to start the season so well with a not so surprisingly stunning 4-0 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers, there will now be a real exerted pressure for City to stop the rot when 10th place Brighton can celebrate their first win of the 2025 Premier League season. And it is now two back-to-back defeats for Manchester City, who are a point back in 12th place. After starting the season so well with a stunning 4-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers, there's now going to be real pressure for Manchester City to stop the rot when they face Manchester United at the Etihad on the 14th of September. So, what's your overall take on this game?
Brighton have always sort of been able to, try to resist Man City in a way. I think Man City still has the upper hand against them, head-to-head wise, but they always play well against them. They always try to win and stuff. So it's always tricky when you're trying to predict, the outcome of a City against Brighton game, because Brighton always like to be a thorn in their flesh and stuff. So, and also when you play City, you have to be prepared to suffer, because they'll most likely stifle you. You struggle to keep possession of the ball for extended periods of the game. So I'm not surprised at all that City had majority of the possession. But what was interesting to notice is that both teams created a similar amount of chances. So clearly Brighton had their game plan. They knew City would have the ball, but they felt like they could create, very good chances with the little that they had, and they did it well. And watching the beginning of the game after Erling Haaland was able to score, it looked like City could run away with it, but they were not able to take their remaining chances after that. And then shortly after, Brighton was able to settle into the game, and it has always been the bane of Pep Guardiola's teams to always concede from transition. It is the single most popular way a possession heavy side concedes goals, always from transition or counter attacks. So I'm not surprised that's exactly how Brighton scored. I'm not surprised at all. I felt like they did a good job, to do this at home as well. So once you play at home, you must try your best, because your fans will be behind you. All those sort of little things tend to count in these high pressure games. So I don't think anybody should dismiss this victory. They worked hard enough for it, and it looks like maybe the Guardiola dominance in the Premier League might be over, because it's very nice to see all these clubs sort of stand up to City and try to beat them and succeed in doing so. They do have a tendency of, bouncing back and stuff. They were not able to quite do it as well last season, and then they sort of have to do it again this season. So, or at least have to try to do it again this season. So it will be interesting to see if City is able to, you know, bounce back. They clearly have the players and the quality to do it, but will the Premier League, allow them? Will the clubs they are competing against allow them? Everybody seems to sort of have them figured out these days. Even though Pep has tried to, refresh his tactics by bringing in Linders, they've tried to implement this sort of split striker thing when they try to build up and stuff. It's been interesting. So I mean, you could say maybe that's probably one of the reasons they are sort of struggling at the beginning of the season, is that they are still trying to settle into a tweak in the system that they are used to. So who knows? But if they can still keep giving us, entertaining matches like this, we'll always watch their games. It was a nice match to see, and I'm happy Brighton was able to win.
Right, absolutely, yeah, yeah, well, yeah. That's what we're hoping that we don't see City able to secure another title.
Yeah, running
In,
away with the league is too
yeah,
much.
because they've been dominant in recent times in winning back-to-back trophies. Yeah. Okay. So with that said and done, we'll then turn our attention to the Nottingham Forest game between Nottingham Forest and West Ham United. So West Ham United produced a superb late flourish to beat Nottingham Forest 3-0 and then registered their very first Premier League win of the season. The visitors scored 3 times in 7 minutes at the City ground to get off the mark in this campaign and relieve some of the pressure on on the head of head coach Graham Potter. Jared Bowen broke the deadlock with a superb instinctive finish in the 84th minute, while a Lucas Paqueta penalty soon after gave West Ham breathing space. Callum Wilson then rounded off a swift counter-attack in their first minute of in the very first minute of stoppage time to score his first goal for the club and seal a welcome victory that lifts West Ham off of the the foot of the Premier League table. They then climbed to 15th place on 3 points, 1 point behind Nuno Espirito Santos' side, who dropped to ninth, having lacked a clinical edge throughout the contest. Well, the best and only clear opportunity off of the first half came in the 39th minute when West Ham debutant Matheus Fernandes cut the ball back for Paqueta, whose first time strike was brilliantly tipped over by Matt Sells. Both sides went close early in the very in the very early period of the second half. Chris Wood headed Callum Hudson-Oddoi's cross straight at Matt Hermansen, while Nicholas Fulkrug's drilled strike then called Sells into action at the other end. The Forest goalkeeper then had to be at his best once more to push a very deflected Wilson effort in the 68th minute. However, he was powerless 6 minutes from time when the ball broke kindly on the edge of the area for Bowen, who whipped a superb first-time strike into the bottom right corner. As Paqueta then coolly sent Sells the wrong way from 12 yards 4 minutes later after Ibrahim Sangare tripped the impressive substitute Crescencio Somerville before Wilson put the icing on the cake by nodding home El Hadji Malik Diouf's cross. So, what's your overall take as well on this whooping victory that Nottingham Forest were able to attain by beating West Ham United?
If I was asked before the game, I would have said Nottingham Forest is likely going to win this game, based on how appalling West Ham's start to the league has been. and how badly they ended the previous season as well. I was not thinking this was, going to happen. If I was supposed to predict a win for them, I would have said 1-0, and then it would have been extremely unlikely. I did not expect them to run away with this victory. But it's one of those things that can happen in football, especially when you're not being um, clinical enough, when you're not taking your chances, when you're able to create them and you cannot finish them off. This is the sort of thing that happens. It tells, especially based on the timing of West Ham's goals, that this probably a match was probably supposed to be a draw.
Right.
I mean, it was 0-0 up until like the 83rd, 84th minute. So it was most likely supposed to be a draw or a win in favor of Forest if they were able to take their chances, but they did not. And eventually, West Ham was able to score, and they were able to score 3 times in about less than 10 minutes, and they won the game. These are the sort of things that can happen when you're not, clinical enough, careful enough, or you don't have a deep, squad so that you can sort of replace someone who is not performing up to standard in games like these, where if you sort of have uh, tried and tested striker apart from Wood or a couple of wingers that you can put into the game to try and speed things up, try and see if you can create some extra chances and score goals. So anyway, kudos to West Ham because nobody expected it, and they do very badly need a win. They needed to get their season back on track because it was looking woeful for them. I am glad they've been able to secure 3 points and 3 goals for themselves. I did not expect it to come in this particular game, I would admit, but they've been able to do it. They kept working. They played significantly better than they have in their last 2 games. So I feel like congratulations is due. They needed this 3 points. They need to work on it as well, and they need to build up on this performance. Try to remain as compact as they were able, because their defense has been bad this season. They need to try and work on it more. I feel like they should not get in over their heads that they were able to keep a clean sheet because Forest was terrible in converting their chances. So they need to also work on how to improve their defense. And if they can create as many chances as they were able to create in this game and be as clinical as they were able to be, then they should be fine this season. It was fun to see 3 goals in the game. I was not expecting it. It's the sort of game where you could have, switched the channel at the 80th minute and say, "Oh, this is going to be a draw. Let me find something else to watch." And then 3 goals. It was a nice game to see, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with such an outstanding performance from Nottingham Forest, we should anticipate that they would be able to secure, most likely secure a place for themselves in the top 4. Yeah, and maybe even become title contenders. Who knows? Yeah, it's very early during the season. Yeah. Okay, so with that said and done, we'll turn our attention to the biggest game that took place this past weekend between Arsenal and Liverpool. Yeah, so Dominic Szoboszlai's sensational free kick maintained Liverpool's winning start to the 2025-2026 Premier League season as they beat their title rivals Arsenal 1-0 at their home stadium Anfield. Last season's top 2 were the only teams defending perfect records by Sunday, but it looked as though they would have to settle for a point apiece until the 83rd minute when Szoboszlai's provided a moment of magic. Arsenal were without Bakayo Saka due to a hamstring injury, and they started with Captain Martin Odegaard on the bench, while they suffered a further blow when William Saliba was forced off of he was forced off of the game upon having sustained an injury. Mikel Arteta's side, depleted. They were depleted. Still looked set to escape with a point as they were depleting in the 9 minutes of the game. But Szoboszlai's with a spectacular dead ball effort against David Raya's right hand post and in. The result then ensured the champions will spend the international break at the top of the table as they are the only team on maximum points with Arsenal in third place. Arsenal had to replace Saliba with Christian Mosquera after just 5 minutes, though the Gunners limited Liverpool to one wayward effort from Cody Gakpo in the early stages. Noni Madueke's volley forced Alisson Becker into a smart save, while Virgil van Dijk passed up a great chance to shoot at the other end in what was a quiet first half. Liverpool had the ball in the net around the hour through Hugo Ekitike, but the goal was then disallowed as Gakpo was offside when he followed up on Raya's save from a Florian Wirtz's strike before the Frenchman prodded it home. However, Zbozali then went on to spark a wide celebration at the cup end when, from over 30 yards out, he curled a vicious shot over the Arsenal wall and beyond Raya's dive from a well placed effort. Having been thrown on alongside Odegaard as a substitute, Arsenal debutant Eberechi Eze embarked on one threatening run into the area, but then he failed to get away with a shot under pressure from Joe Gomez as Liverpool held on to attain a victory for themselves, thereby securing 3 victories out of 3 matches. So, what's also your take on this game?
Something that I expected in this game that happened was the lack of goals. I didn't expect more than one goal in this game. I felt like Arsenal have become synonymous with keeping an extremely tight defense and trying to rely on set pieces in games. I didn't expect this game to be different at all. So I was not surprised that they were able to keep Liverpool at bay for most of the game. I'm not even surprised that the difference between the two sides at the end of the day was a set piece at all. I may be slightly surprised that the difference didn't fall on Arsenal's side. They probably would have scored from corner kick like they usually do, but it didn't happen. So I mean, it was a nice game to see, though. It was fiery. Noni Madueke was clearly different from Saka. He's extremely direct. It was nice to see him trying to, run down, cut inside diagonally, take shots. That's the kind of player I know him to be. He's not necessarily your creative winger. He wants to get in on the action. He wants to take people on. He wants to take a couple of shots, try to get his name on the score sheet. So it was a nice game. Liverpool are flying high. I feared that the sad demise of Diego Jota was probably going to propel them this season into even greater heights. Those sort of things tend to do that. They tend to bond together during, those times of sorrow and stuff. So I felt like it's something that could probably push them to retaining their title. And it looks like this probably what's going to happen. It was a really nice game to see against, two would-be title contenders. Though it's very early in the game, in the season, it was a nice match to see. Clearly, it has set the tone for the league now. Liverpool will definitely be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. If they're not winning the league, they'll be right there. They'll be right there. I mean, top 2, top 3 for sure. Arsenal will probably be there as well. I feel like they need to work on how to be much more, creative in matches and not necessarily try to over-rely on defensive prowess and set pieces. They need to find ways to, score more goals. You could see sometimes that there's some similarities with how their wingers play. Sometimes that is not... it's not so aesthetically pleasing to the eye when you're watching. There was this sequence of play where Martinelli had the ball on a counter-attack. He was in the left half space there. And, I mean, it was easy. The natural thing to expect, watching from, behind or at home is to expect him to drive towards the middle of the goal. That is where you can be the most dangerous in a game. It's always driving through the middle. And your team have been able to give you the ball in such a way that driving through the middle is extremely possible for you. There was an opening, and I was extremely surprised to see him drive all the way to the left, and then this allowed the Liverpool
Yeah.
players to recover, and then he eventually lost possession of the ball. I was like, if you were watching a game to see, and you saw Eden Hazard in the same or similar position, it's a goal. Either he's able
Yeah.
to get a shot on target, or he's going to drive through the middle. He'll get a free kick in an extremely dangerous position, or he skips that tackle, wins a penalty, or he's able to dribble through, pull defenders out of the way, find a pass to somebody who can get an extremely good shot on goal. I'm extremely surprised. I keep watching that replay because what's going on with Martinelli? This is a chance for you to drive through the middle of the pitch. Why are you going all the way to the corner line when the middle is right there? So there are certain things that they need to work on. I feel like they've become a little bit too comfortable with relying on how defensively solid they are to carry them through games. They need to realize that defense definitely does win titles, but you need attack as well to win games. So that's
Yeah.
it for that Arsenal game. It was a nice game to see, but Liverpool deserved to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So with they securing another victory in their in their third game, making it 3 wins out of 3. Yeah. Liverpool are definitely proven that they are at it again and may be able to who knows successfully become defending champions. Yeah. Okay. So with that all said and done, we'll then turn our attention to the final game of the session, and that's the game between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. So Mark Guehi's second half stunner led Crystal Palace to their very first win of the Premier League season after they comfortably beat a struggling Aston Villa 3-0. Guehi picked out the top right corner in the 68th minute with a brilliant curling finish on what could be his last outing for Crystal Palace amid rumors of making a switch to Liverpool. But Oliver Glasner's side silenced the background noise in style, taking the lead through Jean-Philippe Mateta's penalty after Villa goalkeeper Marco Bizot tripped Daki Kamada. And Guehi's excellent strike was followed up by Ismailia Sar's header 12 minutes from time, ending their hosts' impressive 19-match unbeaten run at Villa Park. The result sees Crystal Palace stay unbeaten in 2020. In the 2025-2026 campaign after their very first game. Their very first win in 3 games, moving up to 8th in the early season standings. Villa, meanwhile, are down in the 19th position on 1 point. After a strong start, Villa almost found themselves a man down after Matty Cash clumsily caught Kamada late, but the original decision of a yellow card stood despite a VAR review. Kamada, however, dusted himself down to help put Palace in front in the 21st minute, with the midfielder tripped in the box by a sprawling Bizot, allowing Mateta to coolly slot home the resulting penalty. And with their first real attempt, Unai Emery's side almost got themselves level just before halftime, but Ollie Watkins' effort was thwarted at point-blank range by Dean Henderson. Villa would then improve in the final third after the break, but were unable to find a way through, and they were hit with a sucker punch on the counter when Guehi curled the ball beyond Bizot's grasp. It then got even better for Palace late on with Jefferson Lama's long throw it flicked on by Maxence Lacroix for Sarr to not home at the back post to seal all 3 points for them. So with this game, which is going to be wrapping up our session for today, what's also your final take on it?
Yeah. At times in this particular fixture, the score line looked a bit, different than the performance. I don't think Aston Villa were too bad, but Crystal Palace and Glasner have shown to be a very resilient team. They've been really, really strong in defense. It's extremely hard to play against them.
Right.
And when it's their day, most usually, which most often is, it's hard to break them down, and they'll eventually score you in transition. I'm not surprised at all with the outcome of the goals. They win the ball in transition and go ahead to create a nice shot on target. They keep doing it, keep doing it. Eventually, they'll score, and they were able to get 3 goals. Mateta's penalty, Gay's wonderful shot into the top right corner, and then Ismail Assar sealing the deal. It was a nice game and a deserved win finally for them, because they've been performing well. They just lacked I mean, the opening game against Chelsea was always going to be hard because it's Chelsea. It was going to be hard for Chelsea as well because it's Crystal Palace, who are certainly no pushovers these days in the Premier League. So I'm not surprised at the outcome. Aston Villa have also looked out of sorts. Look like they've not been able to successfully replace some of the outgoing transfers they've had. I'm struggling to see who is who when they try to build up, who their wingers are, who's able to take people on, take players, opposition players out of the game and create chances. Leon Bailey is not there anymore, and I don't know who has replaced him. Maybe there's someone that I don't know because I'm not seeing how effective this person is. I think I've said this in one of our sessions before. I feel like it's still the issue that the window is almost over. I've been hearing some rumors about certain players they might be interested in signing, and they should hurry and get it over the line quickly, because it looks like it will be a long season for them if they are not able to do this, because they are a different team. Marco Asensio, I believe, is going to Fenerbahce as well, so they are lacking lots of firepower in attack. It's making them ineffective. It's making them docile in the final third. I think there's a lot that needs to be done there. Their coach is not terrible at all, but it feels like he's lost too much, has not replaced enough of his players, and it's telling in the performances that he's getting from the players that he has these days. So it was a nice game to see. I most likely would have expected Palace to win based on how they are performing, the players that they have. They are doing well in replacing those who have left. I hear they've completed the signing of Yeremy Pino from Villarreal, which is a fantastic signing. I believe, I hope he's able to settle in well and quickly in the Premier League. It looks like they'll have a good season again. It looks like they'll be in Europe again. Probably do better than the Conference League this season. So it is a good game to finish our session with today, because it was probably the most entertaining game, aside maybe Brighton and what do you call it, the clash between Liverpool and Arsenal. Forest and West Ham was it was a decent game till maybe the last 10 minutes when lots of goals were scored. This game was really good. It was really nice to see. Aston Villa didn't look totally out of the match, but it looked like they needed to bolster their team. So it was a very good game to see. I'm glad with Crystal Palace's performance. It was a nice fixture for neutrals as well. Anybody who wants to get into football, is one of those games you could see and enjoy. It was nice. I'm happy I saw this game.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah. With Crystal Palace comfortably making such a win, yeah. Well, we should be expecting well, much better and more improved performances from them, especially upon they being able to hold off Liverpool to penalties and then going on to win the Community Shield, and they playing out a draw with Chelsea, and even with that game against Chelsea, they most likely could have won it if that free kick goal hadn't been disallowed. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so with that said and done, it wraps up today's session. In summary, today's session yet again was filled with an exciting showcase of news as we dived into events that took place over the weekend in the 2025-2026 Premier League campaign. We always encourage you kindly, ladies and gentlemen, to please make sure to leave any comments in the comment section, whether you're a regular fan or just a casual. I also encourage that if you want to see more content and experience the magic of being part of of this channel as a family, which is our halftime 360. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and give us a reaction, either with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, as much as possible. Well, once again, Melvin, thank you so much for being my co-host as usual.
Definitely welcome.
And yeah, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and attention. We'll see you all next time to enjoy more exciting news about the beautiful game. We're over and out. Peace.
Peace.